Did you know Claude Fable 5 can now make a full AI video for you without you having any prior experience? I made these videos where Fable 5 did about 90% of the work for me. I just described each shot like I was talking to a person. In this video, I'll walk you through the entire process, step by step, how to create videos like these, even if you've never used Fable 5 before. First off, we need to do the setup, which makes the rest of the creation process work properly. For this whole workflow, we're using Higgsfield because it lets you use Fable 5 and connects to any other models and tools it needs. And the link to it is down in the description if you want to follow along step by step. Once I'm on the main page in Higgsfield, I'll click the Supercomputer tab in the top bar, and that opens the main chat where everything happens. From there, I'll click the model selector and scroll all the way down to the Claude Fable 5 model and select it as the model running the session. That last part matters because Fable 5 is the model that reads what you ask for and does the actual prompt engineering for you. So instead of writing long technical prompts yourself, you describe the shot as simply as possible, and it works out the settings and the camera moves on its own. The one thing worth doing up front is setting your defaults in the very first message. So I'll tell it to use GPT Image 2 for any images at 4K high quality and CDance 2 for video at 4K. Then in that same message, I'll ask it for a 10-second shot of a lone astronaut walking on Mars. It renders at the exact CDance settings it remembered, 10 seconds, 4K with native audio and no music, all from that one line. And I'm keeping this first prompt deliberately basic, one plain sentence with no rapid camera movements, because I want you to see the baseline before we move into more complex generations. So as you can see, the astronaut walks across a red desert on Mars during golden hour with a slow push in and dust kicking up behind him. And I really like how smooth the camera moves towards him, and he leaves footprints on the ground, which makes it look more realistic. And every exact prompt I'll paste in this video is saved in one file, linked in the description, so you can just copy them straight in instead of pausing and typing everything out. That's a full 10-second Mars shot out of a single plain sentence, with no real prompt writing anywhere. But one simple sentence barely touches what Fable 5 can do, so now I'll pack a whole scene into one description and see what it looks like. I'll describe a full 15-second storm scene in one go. Now you can clearly see a fisherman tying down a rope while rain hits the deck. Then it pulls back to the whole village scrambling, the waves climbing higher, an old woman watching from a doorway, and one big wave coming over the harbor wall. Also, I like that there aren't any weird inconsistencies. That's one continuous 15-second video out of a single paragraph. Then I'll go the other way and ask for something animated instead. A little robot going through an abandoned city. And instead of just running it, it stops and asks me which animation style I actually want, and gives me 5 options right there in the chat. 3D Pixar style, anime, stop motion, watercolor, or something else. And I'll go with the anime style. Once the style is picked, it starts creating the video. And here we've got a robot going through a mossy, abandoned city with a single neon sign glowing behind him near the end. And it looks like it was taken straight out of an anime. So the effect is really good overall. One thing it does on its own here is something worth knowing. There's a puddle in the shot, and rendering a real mirrored reflection is something these models are genuinely bad at. So instead, it fakes the look with a bit of light spill and avoids the problem entirely. The only cleanup is the very last second of the video, which has a small render glitch, so I'll just cut that second off. Then, just to show the range, I'll ask it in one line to make the same scene in 3D animated style instead. And the scenery looks pretty similar here, but the robot clearly looks like Wall-E from Disney, and the whole video looks very smooth, almost like it was animated by some big studio that makes movies every day. And now I've got the same scene in 2 completely different styles, on top of the photoreal storm from before. So whether it's photoreal or fully animated, the way I talk to it never changes. I just describe what I want to see. But these have all been pretty small contained scenes, and I want to see what happens when I really push it into a harder task. So I'll throw a genuinely busy scene at it and see where it stops looking good. The method here is the same as before. I'm still just describing a scene in plain words the way I'd tell it to a person. The only thing that changes is how much is going on inside the shot. There's more movement, more happening at once, and the whole thing escalates much harder from start to finish. So I'll ask for a 15-second photoreal street chase through a rain-slicked neon city at night. It pulls the same reflection trick from earlier, writing the sparks and the puddle as light catching the wet road rather than a real mirror surface, since that's the exact thing these models get wrong. The whole thing is one rider weaving through traffic, two more closing in, sparks flying off a low bridge, a puddle hit in slow motion, and all three funneling into a dead-end alley. And the whole thing looks very smooth, and it's especially good because a lot is happening on the screen. Then, instead of just handing me the video, it reviews it. Supercomputer has a built-in video analysis feature, so I'll ask it to grade its own video against what I asked for. And it's honest about it. It tells me the ending missed completely. There's no alley closing in, no hard stop, no cut to black. The rider count keeps drifting between shots, and the opening frame doesn't even have a motorcycle in it. Then it goes one step further and tells me how to fix it. Lock the rider count to every shot, put the bike in from the first frame, and rewrite the ending as its own proper part. I left this one in on purpose because it shows you that even a long, detailed prompt can miss things, and the tool has its own way to catch exactly what went wrong and why. So instead of me guessing, it hands me the fix list itself. Next, I want tight choreography, a two-person kung fu fight, and for that, I'll go in a completely different direction. Instead of describing the fight in words, I have it generate a 6-panel storyboard sheet first. Then that same sheet gets handed back as the visual reference for the animation, so the artwork itself carries the shot by shot, the poses, the angles, and the timing, instead of me trying to write all of that out. It even locks in both fighters' designs on its own. So as you can see, Fighter A is a lean guy with short spiky black hair, a sleeveless white kung fu shirt, and a red sash, and Fighter B is more compact with a brown ponytail and a navy jacket. And it keeps these two designs consistent across all 6 panels. Then I'll tell it to animate that storyboard into one continuous 15-second fight. And the whole fight looks pretty clean to me. There aren't any weird pauses in the movement. The only thing I would change would be to have the characters open their mouths when they make those effort sounds. So the same mistakes from the chase just don't show up here, because it already learned from them in the same session. The scenes can get as complex as you want, and it'll flag its own misses and carry the fixes forward without me asking. But every character so far only had to survive a single video, and holding the same one across a whole string of shots is a different problem entirely. The fix is to stop describing the character every single time and lock it down once. Now, instead of describing the characters inside the story prompt every time, I'll build them as their own reference sheets and reuse them. I'll start by asking for an original creature at that big budget movie level of detail. The overall result actually looks pretty good. There's so much detail on her face and in her hair, like these little glowing blue flowers. But the design comes back way too close to the Na'vi from Avatar. The pointed ears, the tribal markings, the tall teal body. So I'll try a second different creature. This one's more violet toned with long silver white hair, but it's the same problem. The ear shape, the skin tone, and the marking style are still straight out of the movie. So I'll scrap both, and the lesson there is actually useful. The rendering quality and the character design are two separate things. So when you want a film's level of polish, you ask for that fidelity, not its actual characters. So instead of chasing that look, I'll design something deliberately different. A broad, bark-skinned forest guardian, built as a 3-panel reference sheet with a front, back, and face view. And this one works on the first try. He's covered in glowing moss, with small rounded ears instead of pointed ones, an antler crown instead of hair, and a heavier build instead of the tall, slim one, so nothing about him reads as Avatar anymore. And I'm really impressed by how many details I can spot on his body, like the glowing mossy patches on his shoulders and his wooden skin texture. Then I'll design a separate creature to go with him, his companion. That one's a small fox-sized medium-sized creature with sleek indigo purple fur and faint glowing freckles running down its spine and tail. And this one looks really adorable. It's like you combined a little fox and a cat into one animal. Its fur looks really realistic too, and the glowing tail makes it even more interesting. And each of those 3 panel sheets, the front, back, and face, becomes the thing every later shot points back to, so the creature stays the same instead of changing every time I mention it. Then with both of them locked, I'll ask for a 6-panel storyboard telling a short wordless story between the two. It's a simple arc. The two meet warily, warm up to each other, and end up together by nightfall, with the light shifting from midday to dusk to night across the panels. One panel comes out with 2 of the companion creatures by mistake, which is the same duplication problem. So I'll have it regenerate just that one panel and leave the other 5 alone. The thing to know is it rebuilds the entire sheet to fix that single panel. So if the others turn out inconsistent, the safer move is to put the corrected panel back into the original. Now the 4th panel actually shows just the mossy one and a single companion creature with no cloning, so I'll keep this one. Then for the final scene, I'll hand it the storyboard and both character sheets together as the reference and ask for one continuous 30-second version of the whole story. It builds it as 2 15-second halves rendered at the same time, split right where the light turns from day to dusk. Then it stitches them together into a single video. And to me, the whole video looks very impressive, especially the scene where the companion creature smells the flower from the mossy one's hand. Also, what I like about Fable 5 is that it always follows exactly what I told it to, which is creating the whole thing into its cleanest 4K. So just by describing what I want in plain words, I've gone from a blank chat to a finished 30-second scene with my own original characters, and none of it needed a real prompt or any experience going in. And normally this would be way harder, needing a bunch of different tools. But in Higgsfield, it's all in one place. Fable 5 does the work and connects to whatever other models it needs. So sign up to Higgsfield with my link in the description and make your first Fable 5 video on whatever scene you want right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.